Hi guys. I hope your homeschool experience day one went well. Today I'm gonna be talking about something really important, which I think again will be helpful for this journey, for this experience that you're on, which is reading. If you can do 20 to 30 minutes of reading every day, believe me, it will go a long way. Because if children can read, if they're able to read, they can do just about anything. Writing will come in if they can read. If they can read, they would be able to solve mathematical problems as well. So, reading is a key. If you can tackle reading, you've tackled a lot of the other subjects. So, I'm going to start with just showing you some ways that you can teach reading to different ages. So, if you've got children in reception to key stage one, and all the way up to key stage two, the different resources and ways that you can teach reading. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is phonics. If you've got children in early years, so that's reception year one, you would know about phonics. They would have been doing letters and sounds, or maybe letters and sounds, or read write ink. Either of the two ways, is what schools used to teach phonics. So for that, you can actually go on YouTube and type in letters and sounds or Jolly Phonics, and that should give you some resources on how to pronounce the sound. So they would have something like this. So it's got all the letters on there and their sounds, but you need to be able to say them correctly. That's for the starting, and then it moves on into phase three, where they've got consonant sounds joined together, so two letters making one sound. Sometimes they might have vowel sounds as well, or three, they might have trigraphs, or three letters making one sound. So these are the sounds that comprise words. So you'll find in words, sounds are broken down. And the best way to tackle reading is to help them get their phonics. If they get all those letters and all the sounds correctly, they will be able to read fluently. And then it goes on and on into phase four, which is more double consonants. And these are a bit trickier, the phase four sounds, but they're just sounds that you'll find at the start of words or the end of words. And then you've got phase five, which again gets a bit more complex. They've got again two letters, but these are the sounds that you would hear differently in different words. So, for example, you've got these two sounds there, but they make different sounds in different words. So, just thinking about those, you've got E in monkey, which is also another E in phase three. But you need to understand these yourselves before you can teach them. So, I recommend going online. You can find these sound mats. Just Google sound mats, and this will come up for you. But to help you pronounce them, just type them into Google, and you'll be able to pronounce the sounds yourself. So they will come up in words. If children have got their phonic sounds, they will be able to read at their level. So, for example, in reception, they might start to read at level three, for example, and they will come across a lot of the sounds that they're learning in their reading. So once you've got that tackled, you can put any book in front of them and they will be able to read it. So you can start by, maybe say, if you're practicing the A sound, for example, the A and the I in rain, for example, you can gather a lot of words that have the A and I sound, the same A sounds in it. Mr. Thorne is very good on YouTube. He would give you lots of words with those sounds in it. You can do a sound hunt around the house and find words that have, or maybe you can actually write the words on flashcards and hide them around the house and get them looking for those words and reading them out loud to you. So being able to use those sound buttons are really important. So yeah, Mr. Thorne on YouTube, I recommend go and have a look at that to help teach phonics. Once you've got phonics, be able to blend words and segment words, which then leads into trickier words, the high frequency words, or also known as sight words or red words, whichever one they use. These are words that don't have sounds in them, that they can't be sounded out basically. So words like this, that, he, she, they need to know those by sight. So again, you can play games with these, write them on flashcards, hide them around the house, and get the children hunting for them and being able to read them back to you. And you obviously do the same as it's a game. So that's how one way you can tackle reading with children in early years. Something else I would say is, okay, so with books like this, for example, this is a really easy book. This is a level 6 book. I would expect children in like reception year one, maybe some year two, depending on where they are, to be able to read books at that level. And the words in there are not tricky. They're words like, I can see footprints, zigzags, snow. So these are words that have all the sounds that they would already be familiar with, and they will just need to be, and they're quite repetitive. When you see those words keep going on and on, so they become familiar with them. And then you can write out these words again, write them onto cards, and just flash them in front of their eyes so they can remember them quicker. You can do that before they read or after they've read it. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so words like long, bridge, these are all words that they would have known the sounds for. And then so that tackles reading in key stage one, early years. With year two, actually, speaking of key stage one, children who are in year one, they would have been taken, or they would have been preparing for their phonics check. So you can go on the government website and download resources for doing the phonics check. It's all on there. You can get resources from previous years and just get them to do it anyway. Just practice it with them. They've got alien words. It's another way for them to practice the sounds that they already know. So they've got real words and alien words, and just being able to identify those words and being able to blend and segment words. That's all that test is about. So just get them to do it anyway. For children in year two, you're expecting a bit more advancement with their reading, and they're not doing as much phonics anymore because they already know their letters and sounds. So it's not just getting them immersed into books and getting them to enjoy reading. So you have to listen to them read. That is the most important thing. Listen to them read 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Just work up, work your way up that way. Just listening to them read, and try not to interrupt them when they're reading. Please don't. Let them finish. So as they're reading, if they're making any errors, or they're missing some words, note those words, and you can use those as teaching points as opposed to interrupting them every time they miss a word. So don't try to correct them every time. Just write down the words and use them as teaching points. So the next time they go back to the book, which is again another skill they need to develop by year two, be able to reread books. Doesn't matter how many times they've read it, they can read it again. It's about mastering the words in the book. So let them read it again and again and again until they can answer every question that you can think of on that book. So don't feel like, they've read that book, they can chuck it away once. Children tend to do that. They'll tell you, I've read it before. Let them read it again. It's actually a year two skill. They need to be able to read books and repeat them again and again. So make sure that's happening with reading. So don't discard books after one read. So I've talked about, listening to them read at their level. So make sure they're reading age appropriate or level appropriate books. Don't just chuck like a massive book in front of them. Let them read at their level. So whatever book that they can handle, let them do it, and then you can move them up once you think they've got it. And like I said, let them read it over and over again. I've talked about noting the words that they can't spell. So focus on spelling those words as well. So the words that they couldn't read, help them to learn it until they can spell it independently. I've also got down here that to study books together. So before they start to read, look at the book together. What can they tell you from looking at the front cover? Who's the author? How many other books has that author written that they've read before? Talk about the author, talk about the front cover before you actually go and make predictions. What do you think is going to happen in the story? And let them go into that before you actually even open the book at all. And the next thing I'm going to say is read to them. You have to read to them. You have to help them to see an example of what reading sounds like. You read to them. Use punctuations when you're reading. So stop at full stops, pause at commas, question marks. Change your voice, exclamation marks, show exclamation. So let them see all of those things. Talk about the characters in the book. Talk about the setting, the plots. What does it remind you of? Can they link it to anything in their real life, or can they link it to another story that they've read? Are there any new words that they've come across as you're reading? They can note those words as well. And this can actually feed into their writing. So if you read a book well with them, it can feed into their writing. So for example, you could write a character description. So choose a character in the story. Can they describe that character to you in a few words, in a few sentences? So they can do character descriptions. They can do setting descriptions from that. They can change the ending. So, how would they write a different ending to the story, so they can write their own version of the story that you've read to them. So you can milk books quite a lot. So listening to them read at their level, and then you can pick like a storybook, like Julia Donaldson books are really good. This is Room on the Broom. Things that you can read. The language in there is really good, so you can find words in there that they will get them really thinking for a long time. Compound words with suffix and prefix in them, past tense words. You can really focus on things like that and just check what they already know and then build from there. So again, as you as a reader, you also need to understand when to pause. So don't read through the book at once. Pause and ask them questions. What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think about the characters so far? Are there any surprises for you? You know, ask questions like that. For children in key stage 2, obviously they will be on much bigger books, chapter books they call them. Tell them, encourage them to not read through the whole book in one go. Let them break it down into chapters, and after every chapter you can discuss the theme in the character, the theme in each chapter. How is the character developing, or how has the character developed? Has the character done anything strange? Has it done anything new? Let them dwell a lot, on character description, on the setting description, what's happening in each chapter of the book, as how is the plot changing. Let them make predictions as they're going along as well, and see if they find any surprises. Let them find new words in the book that they're reading, and encourage them to use a dictionary. Especially from year 3, they can start to use a dictionary independently to find the meaning of words. Try not to get them using Google. Let them use an actual dictionary to find words, because that is a skill on its own. Trust me, you can spend days teaching how to use a dictionary, especially for year 2, year 3. So get them to really sit down, give them a list of words if you have to, and tell them to go and look for those words and their meanings and the word class in the dictionary. That will keep them busy for a while. So that's part of reading as well. And then you also help them to practice spelling the words that they've come across. Get them to do book reviews. They can write a book review. They can talk about the book. What did they think? What did they like about it? What did they dislike? Would they change anything in the book? Ask them questions. Use questions to deepen their understanding. Ask retrieval questions. For example, who is the main character? What did the main character do? Or what was the character wearing when he went to the forest or whatever? Ask inference questions. So what, based on what they know, what can they draw from the book, or how can they use their understanding of that character's issues to provide a solution, things like that. Let them think deeply about the book before they drop it. Children in key stage 2, I know for a fact that they just want to read a book once and drop it, and so that they can tick it off as I've read another David Williams book or whatever. Don't let them do that. Let them stay on a book for a long time and get the juice out of every book. Those authors write like that, and get their attention for a reason, so they can stay on it. So stay on it with them. I've also said you let them use their imagination. Children are getting less and less and less imaginative these days. We need to encourage them, and the way to do it is to use books. Let them explore. Forget all those unicorns and fairies and all those things that are flying around. Or let them use their imagination and explore. How can they rewrite the story? How can they change the plot of the story? How can they change that character? So if the character was an evil person, could they write about a good character? If the character was good, how could they make the character a bit more mean, a bit unkind? What lessons can they learn from that character? Let them link it to their real life experiences as well. Something that's happened. Maybe a character is having friendship issues. Have they had any friendship issues? How did they deal with it? What recommendations would they give to that character? You get them writing letters to the character, or letters to the author to say, I would suggest changing this and this and this in the book. You can do loads with books, as long as you're creating that time for them to read, and you can extend that into their writing session, because that's all part of English. So English would be reading and writing. So if you spend one day doing reading, you could then go into writing the next day, and then extend that for the rest of the week. So you could stay on one book for a week and get the juice out of that book as much as you can, with lots of questioning, and get them to produce written work from that as well. And you would see for yourself that they've understood the book when they get to a point. You know that they're bored of it. So yeah, I hope these tips are helpful with teaching reading. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them. I would answer as much as I can, like I said in my last video. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best for the rest of this period.